stand for the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the
United States of America
and
and to the republic for which stands
one nation
under God,
indivisible,
with liberty and justice for all.
Approval of agenda. Do I have a motion to approve the agenda?
Moved.
Second. Hey, I have two corrections, an addition and a correction to the agenda. I move that we amend the agenda to include these two items. Do I have a second?
So moved.
Okay, the correction is a revision, the BO, it says motion to approve a revision to resolution BO3, and that should have said first reading of BO3. The paperwork that's in your packet is correct, but the agenda listed that incorrectly. And then the addition to the agenda that I would like to make is to add another reason for going into closed session. This would be to discuss legal matters with counsel pertaining to the Janicek VLPA et al. Matters. So do I have a motion to approve the amended agenda?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. And then we have approval of the minutes. Do I have a motion to approve the May 25th regular meeting minutes?
So moved.
Second,
Second.
any corrections or additions? Okay, call the question. All in favor of approving those minutes, please say aye.
Aye.
That carries. Do I have a motion to approve the June 9th special meeting minutes?
So moved.
Second,
Second.
any corrections? on Those minutes? Okay, call the question. All in favor of approving those minutes, say aye.
Aye.
Carry.
Point of order.
Yes,
Did you assign a secretary for today's meeting since?
no, I didn't. Thank you, Doug. Who would like to volunteer to be secretary? Well, Linda, do you want to serve as secretary? Okay,
This is the.
excuse me.
Or-
Josh, would you please mute the people?
Already done.
Okay, thanks.
Double check that she got everything.
Great. Excuse me.
I said, double check with Linda. She got everything as far as the, so far.
Thank you.
I could always be a backup.
Okay, president's remarks. I didn't really prepare anything for today, but I would want to remark on the meeting that was held last night with Maryland Department of Transportation regarding the expansion of the Route 90 bridge. The representatives did a great job of addressing the questions. There were a number of questions and comments that were specific to the interests of the Ocean Pines community. I was pleased to see that. This is the beginning of a process that is going to be lengthy. So please be on the lookout for future opportunities to participate in public meetings. Look for their surveys. We will be putting out press releases as additional information comes forward. Thank you. GM report, John.
Okay, thank you, Colette. All right, so just on the first page for the team report, you can see the top, that's the Swim Racket Club. I just want to point out, we are doing maintenance. We just painted the outside of the building, and then the roof is scheduled in the budget to be replaced this year. On the bottom, we did put in the boot rail at the grill, and I've gotten some positive feedback on it. Turn the page. Okay, so again, I always start off with the agenda list, and I talk about all these items. What I try to do on this page for all of you to follow is the team and myself, we try to give status updates on basically everything, every area, department, amenity, as well as maintenance and the initiatives we're doing in those areas. Turn the page. Okay, so the Marina gas pumps. So over the last week and a half, 2 weeks, we have had some situations there. Some of it I think we have gone out with, some of it just happened. With the price of gas going to $5, we did need to update the gears because the price did not go to $5. I guess back in the day, nobody anticipated that. So we were without service for a few days. Once we did that, as you're probably aware, gas went to $6, and I guess the gears needed to be updated again. So we did lose a few days there. And I will try to quantify what that means as far as the budget. We did then, right after that, have a line leak associated with the the product of the piping above the ground storage tank. It was identified quickly. We notified the proper authorities and got the proper company in there to assist. Anything that spilled into the water was taken care of. The pipe was shut down, but then we had the situation where it affected our gas pumps. If you know, we do have 5 pumps. With some maintenance and some redirecting of the gas, we were able to get 2 pumps operational, and we did have service there. So far, being told that we are able to handle the amount of boats that are coming in. But we will be without those pumps for the remainder of this season, and I will be coming forward to the board right after the season for replacement of the pipes. We'll have to replace them. The pipes are old, and the new laws mandate a double line pipe that we'll have to do. It'll also affect the dock, but that dock is up for replacement in the next few years. I'll be coming forward to that after the season. But we are operational, but it did have some effect as far as the budget there. But the team is doing everything possible. We are meeting demand. Turn the page.
No
Yes.
question. What about environmental impact of the leak?
So there was, correct, there was a leak. It was identified in the water. The team, our team, and me under Ron Fisher immediately got the booms or whatever out all around it. They contained it, and we had Delmarva come in and took care of it.
Great.
Yep, and they stopped the leak immediately. Okay, Northgate Bridge. I hope to have more about this over the next month or two, but some things that have come up over the last period of time. As you know, we took down the guard shack, but then there was an opening there. You can see on the bottom right, I did get some feedback at some board meetings. We did get the material, finally came in, and you could see Public Works. I think they did a terrific job. So we did take care of that. We heard that, we did have it blocked off there, please. So we took care of that. So the left side, we got approval for the Northgate lights. There'll be the main lights, the higher lights will be in each corner of the bridge. There's 4 of them. The poles have come in. The poles are at Public Works. We're beginning to work on it, and the lights just came in. The plan is right after the 4th of July that the 4 main pole lights will be installed. They will become operational so that when we go to do the 6 lower lights on each side of the bridge, and if you look on the far right again, those round bulb lights or the globe lights, we'll be replacing them. We'll be cutting down the wooden structure and replacing them with poles. So in the meantime, with the 4 main lights up, we'll always have light on the bridge. Turn the page. Pool area maintenance. So you can see top right. So apparently there was a situation. Apparently it's gone on for a while with the fence at the yacht club on the ocean side mainly, where there was a problem with the structure, the foundation. It had been propped up with the maintenance and everything else push that we're doing everywhere. We were able to get a team in there, an outside company that we use all the time. And you can see the prices, but that's all been taken care of. And now we have one structurally sound fence. The price was $9,300. Turn the page. Pickleball courts. So the pickleball courts, everything has been approved. We were starting to work. These are the 4 courts, the new courts that I'm going to update you on now. So try to get pictures on each period of implementation by the contractor. As you know, we did this sub base in-house. Apparently was done very well. We then had the company come in, ATC, and they did their sub base, which you can see top left, and then they put the what they call the paving pass on the blacktop. The bottom left is where they then dug the holes for the poles. The poles will be done in concrete. In fact, they're curing now. I went down there this morning. That will be the next set of slides that I show you at the next meeting, but they have all the poles in place with the setting of the concrete. There is a period of time that it's going to be needed for that concrete to set. So pretty much have all the dates, times there, but what I would just want to highlight here is this. Our team, along with the contractors and along with the pickleball members down there, we're trying to ensure that we always have some amount of courts operational this summer, because as you know, we're also doing maintenance repairs to all the other courts there. So we are working that out. We have a plan, assuming the weather and everything else is in our favor, it should work out. So we believe by the end of July, we should be fully operational with everything. But you can see it takes time to cure the concrete to do this right. And it's all spelled out. And we are working with the advisory councils there as well, you know, the members and with the racket sports team. Turn the page. Okay, so this one's a good one. You know, we talk about maintenance and we are doing it, and I'm trying to highlight all the maintenance we're doing. So apparently we had these teak benches. If anybody's played the golf course, the benches, and they're beautiful benches, so they've probably been out there, I don't know, about 8-10 years. I think I got it up there 2008. But they've how could I say it? I don't think they were maintained over the years that, to my knowledge. They felt that they were something that couldn't be salvaged. I went down and looked at it. I brought Public Works down, and you could see they brought them into the shop. We evaluated them. So we brought 15 benches in there. We used one for parts. The other 14 were power washed. They were sanded, and now they have been oiled, and they're actually putting them back out on the golf course. So you can see that if we had, or in the old days, this was something that was said that no longer be useful, we probably would have had a $12,000 write-off. What I believe is now we have benches that'll probably last another 15 years if we maintain them. So compliments to the team, a can-do attitude. And I know I got some feedback from some of the advisory committees or whatever that the walkers needed the benches. So they should be back out there. I might be missing one or two, but we'll figure that out. Turn the page. You got all the prices of what it cost. Okay, so drainage. There's going to be a two-part on this. I'm going to talk about something I probably talked about a couple of years ago, but it definitely has raised its head, and I need to highlight this to the membership. But on the bottom first is that we did bring in an outside contract. You can see on the left there was a ditch that in all the years I've been here, 15 years or whatever, I never saw it taken care of. We've addressed that. As I've talked about in the past, there's an intricate system of drainage throughout Ocean Pines, and a lot of it goes through the golf course from the homes and all that. So we're working on it. These are the last ones in 3-4 years that I've been here that we need to address, and we're addressing them now. So there's somewhere along the ditch. It's outside the golf course, if you're familiar with it, for the 14th and the 15th fairways. So we are working on it. We see that what we need to do as far as the drains that are there in fixing them. What I do want to talk about now is the top left two pictures, which is pretty disturbing. So with everything we're doing, and I got to tell you, from my standpoint, is this, you know, we are doing the drainage. We have a plan. You know, I've talked about, and I'll talk about more, the main pipes that we've been addressing the last 2 years, and we have a double approach this year on it, is that we want to get all the big pipes, the main pipes cleaned and fixed, so that we have access to the bay and wherever we're draining. And then we've been trying to maintain all the ditches. When I see ditches that I brought in outside contractors to clean, and just recently in the areas where I've gotten phone calls of flooding 2 and 3 feet, and then I go back there and I need you to focus on those top 2 pictures. Those are ditches. Those are ditches that are probably 3 feet deep, 3-4 feet wide, 3-4 feet deep. And you can see the boardwalks or the bridges built by homeowners that are not allowed, but I see them throughout, that do get into the way at certain situations. But look at the amount of leaves that have been put in there. Just everybody see that, right? If anybody's got a question, I'll answer it now. What that's going to do is a main ditch that we have worked on. That's gonna clog it up. That's gonna flood the golf course. And I got other pictures that I didn't bring today off Cannon and in the road there, where I have cleaned, or we have cleaned twice. And people just keep filling them up. So this is something I'm gonna have CPI. I'm gonna try to reach out to these homeowners. I mean, obviously, we gotta do something on it. But I want everybody to understand there is a major cost to this. And we're going back when I'm trying to go forward.
So, John, two questions. The structures that cross the ditch.
Right.
Should not be there,
Correct.
and there's leaves that are being dumped from ostensibly the lots that those.
I would pretty be comfortable saying that X amount of houses right near there, yes.
So, then the two questions are, number one, what are we gonna do about the structures, if anything? And number two, what are we gonna do about warning them about dumping leaves into drainage ditches?
So a couple things on those bridges. Depending on, obviously, when we go in with our own equipment to clean this out and the equipment that the homeowners association, the board approved that I've asked for, they get in the way. If they get in the way, what's happened in the past is we've moved them and put them back. We being public works contractors. I got to tell you, I'm at the point now where I'm going to look at it differently. They're not allowed there. And I am going to be looking at what I need to do to address it, Frank, to be honest with you. I'm not prepared at this point, but they're in the way. And then when I see something like this, as far as the leaves, we're going to reach out to the homeowners. I spoke to CPI team this morning, or actually the other day, and we are looking into that. And we're going to address it and hopefully have some type of update for the next board meeting. Whatever I can do, whatever actions I can take, I will take. This can't go on. I mean, I've seen it. We did one ditch a couple of months ago, and literally within a week or two, I could see it filling up in a certain spot again. So somebody, and that's separate from that. This is the worst I've seen, and quick. This happened quick.
Doug?
Hopefully that answered the question.
So John, if I understand you correctly, are you going to reach out to the homeowners in that area and advise them that, they shouldn't be putting leaves into the drainage ditch?
We are. As far as how I communicated, it could be several ways, but yes,
If that's not the case, I think I'd be comfortable with the board issuing a directive to the general manager to take that course of action and say, reach out to these folks. Maybe they didn't know. All right, let's give them the benefit of the doubt. But quite frankly, they need to be notified that this kind of behavior and this kind of action can't continue.
Thank you, Doug. I appreciate that support.
And this is a CPI violation, right? Violation of regs?
Yes, we look, yes.
Okay.
I mean, there's a lot of violations there. Violations against other homeowners.
Not on their law.
Okay. Turn the page. Said to come forward with that. So paving, spoke to Eddie the other day, as you know, Public Works, we reach out, we get bids. We've been doing that since I've been here. The bid packages went out. I asked Linda to list, and Eddie list where we're looking at. As you know, each year we try to do three miles. And we're going to be consistent with that this year. In addition, so hopefully the bids come back, as you can see, in August, and then we start doing this thing. We're not going to do this kind of work until after the busy season down here or whatever, after Labor Day. So that is the plan. Consistent with the last several years. In addition, this year, we have reached out. I think I already received one bid to do striping, edging and striping and restriping. And yes, it'll include the crystals or glass or whatever the reflective stuff that everybody has asked me about. We have reached out to the county to do and use similar to, or actually the same as what they're doing with the striping. And so we do have that. It's in the budget, and I hope to come back next month with the update on that. Third page. Okay, so the pools, I think it's good, I understand that if I put out some type of release or whatever, I got to constantly communicate it. I get it. So I figured I would just put this in here too. Look, we do have staff shortages as listed there. We had it last year at the pools, not inconsistent with everywhere else. This is across the country with lifeguards. I believe we've done a good job. There will be some closings. The main pools will be open, but there will be closings based upon if we can get the lifeguards or not. So that's where we're at now. We will consistently communicate this. So you can all read that. Turn the page. Okay, so the audit, just a couple of brief, it's the time of the year. We closed out the year, but now we need the auditors to give an opinion on it. So any information that I or Steve or anybody else gives out, it's unaudited for the 12 months ended April 30th. As you know, somewhere just rounded in the last updates I gave, we were favorable to budget, to operating budget, $1,941,000 or something like that. Steve and I do not anticipate any adjustment to some degree lowering it. I could see an adjustment, but certainly not lowering it. So the orders are in this week. They are reviewing. I want to look at inventory receivables, and I've spoken to the partner about that, about expanding their review of that. And I think he's got up there somewhere around July. We usually get it. We got to get it X amount of days before the annual meeting or whatever it is, and we're all on track for that. Turn the page. Bulkhead. Okay, so Linda will talk to you about bulkheads. I know I just got some questions about dredging. She'll give an update on that, and as well as all the great work they're doing on mailboxes.
Okay, bulkheads. We're finishing up the 2021-2022 bulkheads. As of yesterday, they just had a little cleanup left to do, but should be done today. As far as the 2022-2023 bulkheads, the conditions will be on North Pintail Drive and Pintail Park. We have applied for the MDE permit, and we're just waiting for them to submit, give us the permit, and then we'll apply for the Mercer County permit. But we are expecting to get all that done and have this project begin on fall 2022. As far as dredging, we did receive the MDE permit finally after 2 years, and we have gotten the county permit as of this month. The contractor has been contacted, and we are hoping to have the work done starting in July at the locations as listed. So we will be applying for the other ones from 2021, 2022 applications received, and hopefully we will get that back a little more timely than 2 years. Next page. Mailboxes. I know mailboxes, Public Works did go out and reevaluate them, and all the mailboxes, according to the previous schedule that was done, we did find ones that were already in great shape, so we did take them off the list, and we are doing the high priority locations only at this time, which include the pedestals at White Horse Park, Lookout Point, Sundial Circle, Crest Haven Drive, Offshore Lane, Tail of the Fox Drive, Royal Oaks Drive, Bridgewater Road, Brandywine Drive, Cannon Drive, Fairway Lane, and Charleston Road. And the mailboxes, again, we're just on high priority right now, which include Royal Oaks Drive, Boston Drive, and Cannon Drive. Everything has been ordered by approval from the board in May, and we're just waiting for the items to arrive, and then we'll go ahead and coordinate with the post office.
All right, Linda, if I could just jump in, it's just key. So obviously, first it was understand who owned these mailboxes. The second point, and Linda touched on, is this: we needed to get the material. And with logistics, with everything going on with COVID and finding the special stuff, we want to try to get the same stuff. So it has been timed. There has been an issue getting that. We have gotten it. We're budgeted somewhere to do at least $100,000 if we have the material and the manpower, which I believe now we're getting there. We are definitely going to fix the ones you could see that we're starting off with the ones that are rotted, the ones that need to be maintained. And then we'll go from there, just like we've done with everything else. But again, this is something that's gone on for, I don't know how many years, 20 or plus. And then the mailboxes, you can see the bottom right, that's a cluster of 4, 8, 12, 16. She did, Linda, they are working on getting those parts also. So you'll be seeing that. She's got a good game plan, the team does, and we'll go from there. There's also concrete work that's needed. We've reached out to the contractor for that. So you will see that. I just want to say that these are stainless steel enclosed mailboxes that have weathered the test of time. So, all right, Linda, thank you. Turn page.
Okay. CPI violations, and we currently have a total of 66 open. That includes 50 that are in legal. We had 20 new violations in May, and we did close out 41, so good job, everyone. Next page. Work orders, we have a total of 181 open currently as of the end of May. The majority are in drainage and general maintenance. And drainage, as far as drainage, we do have a few that we are waiting on the contractor to pursue. But we do have 9 over 30 days, 9 over 60 days, and 13 over 90 days. So we are trying to clear that all up. They'll take an average of 1 to 4 to complete a work order comparing to depend upon the severity. Next slide. Customer service, we had 139 emails and phone calls in the month of May, so it's increasing. And we do have another team member, Michelle Lane Ross, that is handling customer service as well. And this number has increased tremendously this month, so we'll be presenting that next month. Next slide. Financials.
Thank you, Linda. I just want to say Linda and her team, especially that in Ocean Pines, is an outstanding job on it. It certainly has helped me in the role, and compared to when I first came in here, the amount of calls and the pulling back and forth on stuff. They've done a great job. Same thing with the mailboxes, is very methodical. There's definitely a plan in place as opposed to, millions of dollars and not even totally sure what I was. All right, so the financials, when I did miss something, I was asked to talk about short-term rentals, I guess the referendum or the work that needs to be done. I do have a team in place, just to let the board and everybody know. We have a team in place now. We hired several people for open positions that we'll utilize for that. I have my leaders to work on it. We were hoping to get through the summer to work on that since it would be labor intensive. I know there's something about electronic voting or something, Frank, or whatever that I'm not sure that the board they might be addressing today that could affect it or don't. But as far as the old approach, the approach we spoke about, I have the team in place. What I would ask for is if it's possible to do it after Labor Day, but obviously we're here and whatever the board wants us to do. Okay. All right, financials. Let's talk financials. I believe there is one up there. All right, so June board meeting, I'm committed to, or I have to update the community on the May financials. The books are not closed, they're close. There is a lot going on, but I have brought forward what is called a flash every month, and then I follow up with the final numbers the next month. So this is the flash to give you an idea. The first month, May of the fiscal year 22-23. And for the month, and I should really, what says it up top, we are favorable to budget, 163,000 operating. It's led by golf, and we've been led by golf. It's 40,000 and 163 for the month. It's organic. I love saying that, but it's revenue growth. It's bringing in new revenue. Greens fees, as well as card fees, is the big part of that number. So I'm excited. I'm ecstatic. It just proves it's the scorecard for everything that the team, we, us, the board, the association, and what I'm saying is that golf course is going to pay for itself, and I'm eventually including the depreciation. But you saw the numbers for last year. Yacht Club favorable, $28,000. Ralph in the update told me and Steve and I, it was the best May ever. Public Works and 30,000 is favorable. We did reach out. We did hire some people for one reason or another. It didn't work out. We are going back to try to fill them. I am committed. I believe in outsourcing to certain degrees, not complete outsourcing, what I call a hybrid. I think you heard Linda mention it, especially on the drainage. We're bringing in outside companies when they're available to help and to do the drainage, and it's definitely the way to go. So I'm hoping some of that is timing as I get them in, especially on the drainage. Beach Club, same thing with the Yacht Club, favorable, best month, best May ever. I'm sure the grill is in there somewhere a little bit to some degree. General maintenance, same thing. We are working, we're doing maintenance. I've been showing it. I'm going to highlight as much as I can. But we do have a lot of projects also, so you're going to be seeing that as part of timing. General admin, there was favorability in some positions and some other stuff. The finance was definitely, we had one position that was open as we were waiting to fill. So I'm not going to say it's not timing, but it's those are the reasons. The police, the same thing. He had some open position or whatever. Beach Park, and this is the one I got to highlight along with the golf and the yacht. So I'm unfavorable 36,000. It's certainly, I'm not going to say it's a surprise. We're fortunate to have somebody who's been doing this for 15, 20 years. When you look at last year with the COVID, once it started opening up, everybody, it just seemed that we had record numbers in May, or everybody came in and was signing up for the beach park. And I think we're now at the point where it's kind of spread over the next couple of months. So I'm going to call that timing for now. And I believe we're going to make it up, and the team believes we're going to make it up over June and July. So let's keep an eye on that, though. The rest pretty much netted out. 163,000 favorable. Summarized, it's mostly organic growth in revenue. There is some timing on some maintenance. There is a couple of open positions that we aggressively trying to fill. I know the chief definitely is trying to fill his. Okay, that's it on the financials. Anybody questions on it? Hopefully the next month we'll have the audit. All right, thank you.
Thank you, John. Larry?
Through the month of May, our overall investment rate was at 0.75%. As of May 31st, the association had 18.6 million in cash, 2.4 million invested in CDARS, and 16.2 million in insured cash sweep accounts, money markets, and other operating accounts that were fully insured.
Okay, thank you.
May I?
Yes.
Could you just go back, Josh, on that one schedule? I just want to hone in on the second bullet point, and this is great, cash update, and this is very important. The 18.6, and I've said this every year, at this point in time, we're getting all the assessment money in. That money is not all of it, but a certain piece of it is already allocated for operations for the remainder of the year. So it's kind of a timing thing. So please, I don't want anybody, yes, as the treasurer's saying, we do have that money, but just keep in mind that a lot of it is already allocated. But we do have, after that being said, we do have as much cash, if not more, than we've had over the last many years. Okay.
Okay, thank you. Public comments, be reminded, please, to give your name and address, and that the time limit is 5 minutes. Linda has her bell, I believe, keep us on track time-wise. We'll start with people in the room. Anybody in the room? Joe,
Yeah, that's a quick question on that last.
state your name and address.
Joe Reynolds, 84 Ward Tower. Who insures that 16 million? Is that full faith and credit of federal government, or is it something else?
It's, yeah, Joe, and it's most of that cash, the CDARS are insured through conglomerates of
I realize the
Right.
CDRs are.
And then, okay, and then the same thing with money, again, it's spread out.
Is all the money insured by the
Yes.
federal government?
Yes.
All 16 million? Okay,
Yes.
thank you.
Yeah, it's designed by the banks, yes.
Anybody else in the room?
Yeah,
Dutch?
one of our three floor guy. I'll be here this time not to complain. I want to thank our general manager and the secretary for helping me. I got a problem with my neighbors. The owner is a slumlord, and they're helping me to get that place a little bit cleaned up. They did some work, Joe, but not what I thought, but they cleaned some stuff up. And I want to thank you for helping me on that. And I tell you, people, that's the best general manager we ever had here in Ocean Pine. Take care of him.
Thank you, Dutch.
Nice hat, Dutch.
Okay, anybody in the peach room? Okay, and Josh, do you have anybody on the MS Teams?
We have 20 people online. I don't have any questions.
Okay, And we'll move on to purchase requests.
Okay. Yep, thank you. Give me a second. Make sure I got these in. Okay, so I'm coming forward on, for 3 purchase requests. The first, front deck rough mower, requesting authorization to go forward with staff recommendation for $25,903.28 for John Deere mower. So just to give some background on this, it did come forward last year. We needed 2 mowers. The 2 we had were not in good shape. We couldn't even get the parts. On the primary market, we had to go outside. So this was in the budget. We did, I believe we got the lower price with the John Deere, and that's what's recommended.
I have a question.
Sure.
The recommended one has a smaller deck mower than the other one. Is that better?
So I'm not going to say it's better, but we're good with the 60 inch.
Okay.
To accept the purchase.
Okay, do I have a motion to accept this recommendation?
So moved.
Second,
Second.
any other questions or discussion? Okay, I'll call the question. All in favor of approving this purchase request, say aye.
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 Any opposed? Okay, that carries. John?
Okay, so the next one, actually, I might have had them mixed up. But the next one is the actual rough unit. The other one was for the tree line, for inside the trees. I know I was going to do that. So the second one is, this is the one where I talked about last year. We got one vote for the next one. So requesting authorization, go forward with staff recommendation for $78,446 for turf equipment and supply for the mower that we need.
Do I have a motion to approve this?
So
purchase?
moved.
Second,
Second.
any discussion or questions? All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Yeah, it's approved.
And then that's just a picture of the old Jacobson, which you can't even get anymore. Okay, thank you. I got one more. These are all in the budget. Spray. Requesting authorization to go forward with staff recommendation for $52,187 for turf equipment and supply for the spray rig. It is the lowest bid. Again, Jacobson didn't bid. We went up to the 3 main ones.
Okay, do I have a motion to approve this request?
So moved.
Second,
Second.
any questions or discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
Okay, the next, we have CPI violations. There are none. No unfinished business, new business. Item number 1 is the proposed topic for discussion. The topic is review of resolution BO4. And the topic is as follows. The Bylaws and Resolutions Committee submitted the attached charging document requesting that the board review resolution BO4, which addresses agenda development for board meetings. The concise statement, resolution BO4 needs to be reviewed in accordance with our schedule for resolution review. Background, resolution BO4 provides for the agenda development for board meetings. The Bylaws and Resolutions Committee reviewed this resolution and does not recommend any amendments. Paragraph 4 of the resolution provides a degree of flexibility for development of the agenda. If the committee is not advised of an intent to further consider BO4 or amend it, the committee will consider the resolution reviewed as of July 22. Did everybody have a chance to review this? Any comments or questions, Doug?
Based on the input from the Bylaws and Resolutions Committee, I recommend we move forward with accepting that there's no changes need to be made and we can address it as being reviewed.
Anybody else? Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Next is also mine. This is a review of resolution ML1. The Bylaws and Resolutions Committee submitted the attached charging document requesting that the board review resolution ML1. This needs to be reviewed to determine whether its provisions are currently meeting its stated purpose. Resolution MO1 is the policy and compliance procedures for declarations of restrictions and ARC guidelines violations. And it needs to be reviewed to determine whether its provisions are currently meeting its stated purpose. Background: Resolution MO1 was approved in May 2020. The revision significantly revised the procedure for enforcing compliance with the association's declaration of restrictions and ARC guidelines. It is acknowledged that implementation of the amended MO1 has been affected by public health considerations related to COVID-19. In particular, the limited availability of the court system to resolve issues. A review of the resolution should include the entire document and not just select provisions. However, the Bylaws and Resolutions Committee suggests particular attention be given to paragraph 6, steps 4 and 5, and paragraph 7. Court enforcement action is clearly not being used. If this provision is continuing to be impractical due to circumstances beyond the association control, then alternative provisions should be established publicly. Furthermore, if alternative provisions are established, responsibility should be assigned for determining when the provisions can be put into effect. This is a proposed topic for discussion, and I'm going to suggest that we turn this over to ARC to review and give us recommendations. Anybody else have comments or discussion on this, Doug?
Yeah, in reading through this, and let me make confirmation that the Bylaws and Resolutions Committee has already looked at this once, correct?
Yes.
Okay. So in step 4B, all right, one of the things I'd want to ask you, go back to the Bylaws and Resolutions Committee. It says ARC's determination shall be final. Should we consider adding with no additional appeal? You know, that kind of thing, to make sure that they can't follow through on just keep appealing until they get what they want. And then in step 7, there's a subsection 5 there. It says the GM's requested the board suspend certain rights of the violating members as permitted by the DRs. Perhaps a reference to which section of the DRs that they're referring to. In other words, there's not enough detail here to make sure that we want to make sure, because GM would want to know what we're referring to when we get to this point. So I'd ask ARC to look at that, and also go back and ask the Bylaws and Resolutions Committee if they had any more, advice on that particular aspect of it.
I had one more comment on that too, with the step 4B that Doug referred, the asterisk regarding the repeat offenses, and then you can't go back. I think that should all be included in B as one thing, not an asterisk, but just one thing. So add the word final and then add that into the language.
Okay.
I think they need to consider an appeal process to the board. I think that I know we want to give the Architectural Review Committee the power to do what they need to do. But I think we have seen some circumstances where where the board, where the homeowner could have come to the board which they normally do anyway. We end up getting letters about it anyway. And that we may want to consider adding a appeal process, a one-time appeal to the board.
Any other thoughts or comments? Okay, so we will turn this over to ARC to take a look at, and I will give them this advice and a charging document back to them. And then it will go to bylaws before it comes back to us. Thank you. Next, we have consideration of rescinding resolution MO8. This is another topic for discussion. Topic is Bylaws and Resolutions Committee submitted the attached charging document requesting that the board consider rescinding Resolution MO8. Background: Resolution MO8 contains requirements related to the adoption, maintenance, and update of manuals used by the various OPA departments. It was written and adopted in 2008 and has not been updated since. instead of these requirements being part of a board resolution, it is asked that consideration be given to allowing this process to be addressed through the normal work assignment and performance review process. Any comments or discussion on that, Doug?
Yeah, I agree in concept with this. It's clearly an operational aspect. There's no reason for the board to be involved in this level of, intervention with regard to operations. However, I will bring to bear, there is, if you look at the list here, there is one that I think we need to pay attention to. That's the OPA Financial Management Policy Manual. Remember, the board's a policymaking, entity. The idea here is there is in that document, even though it's not been updated since 2006, it declares the spending limit for the GM, among other things about, how to things. So I would find a way. I would generally, all the other ones are operational. This one needs to be brought into the board's oversight to make sure that we include that in some fashion. And I will make a proposal, since I've actually been working on this. I'll make a proposal that for review for next month.
Okay,
All right?
you have something to bring next month, you
Yep.
mean?
I will bring something next month.
Yeah, it sounds like maybe we could just pare Resolution 8 down to that one manual.
Or if there's another way to incorporate it, I'd be open to that. So the idea would be, let's incorporate it somehow, take it away from operations, move it into the board level where it sits, whether it's a standalone resolution, that's fine. Or if there's another more effective, accurate, appropriate place to put it, so I'll work on that as well. I'll give some options, but I'll be fully prepared to provide something next month.
And then we'll make a decision on MO8 at that point.
I would think we could look at voting to
Yeah.
remove MO8.
Okay, thank you, Doug. Next is first reading of a revision to Resolution BO3, meetings of association members. This is to approve a revision to Resolution BO8 that provides for the conduct of the annual meeting of the members using a hybrid virtual plus in-person model. And the purpose in effect is to provide language that allows the association to conduct its annual meeting using a hybrid model. Background, in an effort to increase member participation in meetings, the OPA board has conducted their regular and special meetings using a hybrid virtual in-person model. This has yielded modest increase in member participation in meetings. In light of the challenges we have experienced garnering sufficient member participation at our annual meeting using the in-person model, it has been proposed that the 2022 annual meeting be conducted as a hybrid meeting. The authority for doing so resides in a revision to the Maryland Homeowners Association Act. The Maryland General Assembly revised this act during the 2021 legislative session to add a section 11B 113(6) effective June 1 of 2021. This new section of the act generally provides, notwithstanding language contained in the governing documents of the Homeowners Association, the governing body may authorize meetings of the Homeowners Association, the governing body or a committee of the Homeowners Association, or the board of directors to be conducted or attended by telephone conference, video conference, or similar electronic means. This motion asks the board to approve a revision of Resolution BO3 to incorporate the authority from Maryland HOA Act, Section 11B 113(6)(a)(1) into the language of her own governing documents that address the conduct of the annual meeting. And I've attached a red line addition to Section 3 of that resolution, or paragraph 3 of that resolution, that has the relevant language. Is there any discussion? Doug?
So having gone through this, a couple of things come to mind. I'm generally in agreement. All right, I just want to make sure that we are squared away under Section B. It says any member attending a virtual meeting should be deemed present for quorum and voting purposes applicable to that particular meeting. How's that verified? How do you differentiate between somebody who's attending publicly that may not be a member of the association and one that is? The chances of that happening are probably very small, but Section D2 is really where it says, it's like, how are we going to validate or verify that the folks that are attending the meeting virtually are dues paying members of the association?
Okay, I'm gonna suspend Robert's rules and let Linda, I'm sorry, Carol, Linda, Carol, Susan, whatever her name is, address this.
When we read this, I went through MO6 and what it states about annual meeting. And of course, we asked for identification at the door. So, and give people a number. So the committee talked about it and we thought that a 48-hour, and that does mention 48 hours, something in one of the Maryland guidelines, 48 hours before the people have to via email or the way we do with the elections committee with the ballots, verify and tell us what name they're going to use to come up on the screen. This way Josh knows who is eligible to be counted as part of the quorum, or if there is a vote taken, to be able to participate in the vote.
Okay, so I guess the idea would be if somebody forgets to do that 48 hours ahead of time and they go, oh, I got the link, and they sign on, how are we going to make sure we differentiate between the two?
Well, we don't unless there's a vote.
Okay, I was going to say, if this is
Yeah,
something.
it would count as the quorum. I mean,
Right.
we couldn't be
Right.
able to have them be part of the quorum if we don't get it ahead of time.
Yeah, Carol, good point. I mean, the quorum is different. That's the easier of the two.
Mhm.
The idea would be if it goes to a vote, if something's brought up at the annual meeting by the members, the
Right,
idea would be, how do we make sure that all those that are attending virtually, are validated?
right.
You know?
We would provide that list to Josh.
Okay,
But
So
the problem,
Josh would then be given the authority to identify those votes there.
Right, if their hand come
Validate.
up, yes,
Yeah.
yay or nay.
Right. Larry?
listen, I think the attendance at the meetings have deteriorated once we started announcing the results of the election prior to the meeting. And my opinion is this is just going to make it worse. I don't believe this is going to increase. I think there are problems, as we've just discussed here. If by chance a vote takes place, and not too many votes take place at the annual meeting, but we're going to stop and let Josh run down a list of people who may or may not be able to vote. I just think this, well, I understand it's allowable. I just think it's a bad idea. I think that the annual meeting is too important to do it virtually. And I quite honestly, I don't think I can support this. So that's when we bring it up again, so.
Having been a part-time owner for many, many years, I love the idea. I think this can be done with the 48 hours. I know people on the other side of the bridge would be very interested in participating. And we could give them a number, an electronic number, just like we do with voting. The only issue I have with this is at the very beginning, it says meetings of the association may be held as a virtual meeting or a hybrid of a virtual meeting. My question is, if it's a virtual meeting only, we're not making allowances for those without a computer or who cannot. So I don't like the idea of not having some allowance for those who may not be able to participate virtually. Just like we were talking with electronic voting, be it a phone-in option or something, I think we have to make sure that we're not disenfranchising anyone in the neighborhood. So I would ask for that language to be changed.
So you're asking to strike virtual meeting and just have it be hybrid or in person?
Yes, I don't think we are at the point right now in our community that we can have a virtually only meeting. I think there's too many people that are going to say, I don't have a computer or I don't know how to do it. So I think it has to just be the hybrid function for now. I think in the future we'll get there for virtual only, but I think right now we're not there.
A question for
Frank?
Carol on the election committee. When I'm traveling and we have a closed meeting, Josh sends me a link, a very specific link, and only the 7 of us can sign in. Have you looked at having the people that want to go virtual coming in advance and providing their credentials and having Josh send them a link based on a review of the credentials? Did you look at that?
No,
That's a
Josh?
good idea.
The meeting has to be open.
Josh talk?
We can't just send a link to the people that register, the meeting has to be open.
We can still do that because it's just like on the meetings here, you can have where we can sign in. But isn't there a kind of what I'd call a separating function inside there where people can be observing, but not what I'd call participating?
I don't see how we would do that. I mean, if we're talking about doing it like we do a closed session, it becomes a closed meeting. And if we send the link to the people that are registered, then the other people are not going to get the link. And if it goes to a vote, they're out.
But it would be anyway, if they,
But they
if
can,
you're talking about applying.
but they can still
ahead of
observe,
time.
they can still observe, Carol, the people that, and that's the problem. You
Mhm.
can't, I don't think we can close that part of it.
Can you permanently mute those people maybe? Is there a way to do that?
This is a lot of problems.
Doug?
So Carol, what I would do is, I would go back and look at the technology side of it and say, you know what? Ask Microsoft Teams if there could be a validation code to enter the meeting. In other words, you have the public
Mhm.
link,
That's what I was
okay?
gonna ask John.
Right,
John
and then
would-
you actually,
yeah.
for those who contact you 48
Verify.
hours ahead of time, you
Mhm.
give them the verification code, so
Right.
that'll address both issues. People that don't have the verification code can certainly attend the meeting, they just can't vote.
Correct.
And those that have the verification code, if that's the case, I would look at a potential technology solution for that, see if that's available.
Josh, do you know if that's available?
I don't. I see Keith on here too. I don't know if he's listening in, and has any input on this. It's definitely something we could ask.
We can
Okay.
research it because I think you can come up with a solution because they have a differentiation between invited guests and participants. We might be able to do something that way.
Okay, so prior to the next meeting then, this is mine. How did I get this? Anyway, I will work with the elections committee and
Right.
technology
Yeah,
to
it's
come up
really-
with,
It's
addressing
really
these
IT that
concerns.
has to come up with.
Right.
these. We
yeah,
just say this is what we need to have and that the people have to verify beforehand,
yeah,
how they provide that. is-
right. Yeah, and I'm also aware that
Outside of mine.
our council told us that almost all of his clients are already doing this. So they may have already invented this wheel.
Yeah.
We may not have to reinvent it. Suspend Robert's rules. So,
But maybe I'm not looking at this right, but when you come into the meeting in person, you're asked to verify yourself by showing an ID and you get a number. It might be a 1 for 1 lot. If you own 100 lots, you get something that says 100. You got 100 votes. Since you log in online and somebody can see you, Josh or somebody, you show your card online. You hold it up to the camera,
mhm,
verifies you, and somebody makes a note of how many votes you have.
mhm. Okay,
What's the difference?
we'll take that under advisement.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay,
Yeah, we looked at, it's just a matter of semantics. Who does that? How do we provide that type of, Wi-Fi and everything
Yeah.
else involved? Because we have to have a list of the people and the elections committee is the one that has to supposedly enforce that. There could
Exactly.
be some changes. It's not IT's problem to identify whether the people are. And really, you're talking about probably a proxy is what you're after. Because like you said, the votes don't always happen. But a
Mhm.
proxy makes it a actual annual meeting.
right. Okay, so we'll
Does
work
that
on
make
that.
sense?
Yeah. Okay, and revisit it next month. Reinstate Robert's rules. Next, we have motion for first reading to amend resolution MO6. Larry?
It's first reading to amend resolution MO6 to allow electronic voting for the annual elections and referendums. The purpose and effect is the changes and amendment to MO6 will allow Ocean Pines Association to contract with a vendor to conduct electronic voting for annual elections and referendums. The attached changes and amendment have been prepared and reviewed and endorsed by the Bylaws and Elections Committee and Corporate Council. Everybody's got a copy of those changes. Are there any questions? I can go ahead and read through them if you want, but it'd be quite a while to read through. Basically, if we can, if we suspend Robert's rules, if there are any questions, Carol can address them. She's been working with the vendor.
Okay, I'll suspend Robert's rules. Any questions for Carol? Doug?
Yeah, just a couple of semantics. If you look at the resolution M06 in section 4, under general, it says the schedule shall be made available to association members. My question was how? In other words, we want to make sure so that there's no concern or complaint that, I didn't know where it was or how it was going to be made available to me, and therefore I'm going to register a complaint. Just something to consider.
Can I?
Please.
Yeah, Robert's rules. Yeah, okay. The idea is, especially for elections, is that it goes out with the annual meeting notice, so it goes to everyone, and we would have instructions in there.
Yeah.
With the number that's assigned to them to be able to go online.
Yeah, and what I'm saying is it should be reflected. If we're thinking about changing the language, it should be reflected in this document. Exactly what you said should be put here.
Right,
That
yeah, and I
information will
think
be.
attachment D. Guys look at that.
Yeah, there's a new attachment.
Attachment B to it.
Yeah, that was a suggestion, one of our very experienced bylaws and resolution person that helped me with this. But it states in there that we would follow what's already in M06, which is the explanation, the deadline dates, the how to do it, the instructions of how to fill out your ballot. Also, a link through oceanpines.org right to the voting site, which they can do.
I didn't see
Because
this.
the people with email addresses, it's easiest for them because they go in and it'll sort of identify them. Still have to answer questions to prove that they are a property owner by the membership list that we have provided.
And so you're saying that Doug's concern is addressed in his attachment D?
I think
Where's
so.
attachment? I don't have attachment.
No, it's in that
Right,
new.
The last part of the,
It's a new attachment D. No, the beginning.
That's the beginning, okay.
Go to very beginning.
Oh, this is attachment D.
Right
Oh,
there.
here we go.
Oh, there it is.
Okay.
Well, that looks better than what I sent in. That's after our attorney got finished with it. But
Yeah.
there's
Oh,
one
yeah, I read
place
through
where
this.
it
Okay.
says that A, B, and C, everything in
yeah.
M06 would be followed through.
Yeah, I saw that. Okay.
Okay.
I guess I just didn't make the correlation when it says we'll post links to the online contractor instruction videos and so on and so forth
Mhm.
versus, if we're making a change here to, the M06 information proper, not one of the attachments. That's where I had that question. Okay.
It'll be in the voting material or with the announcement of the annual meeting.
All right.
Frank?
It's just kind of like a general comment, okay? Our assessment database, I have every reason to believe is very secure, okay? I really believe that we need to make an effort to make sure and to be able to link everybody in that assessment database with an email. I realize some people don't have computers, and I realize some people that have computers don't know how to use them, okay? But by doing that, I think we'd save ourselves a lot of effort because I literally want to say, if not every day, every week in some way or another, we get a complaint. We don't know what pools are open. Okay, nobody told us. It goes back to the issue that Doug raised. How do we communicate with people? Well, we can communicate with you when you give us a way to communicate with you that we know we can get to you directly and you're likely to read.
Right.
And I think that's an area where we have lacked effort, that we need to make the effort.
I don't think that's part of the election committee's process.
No, I say that to the board,
Yeah.
the board.
Can I just
Yes.
give a quick
Carol.
addition? That's one of the things that the company, the online provider, everyone we looked at cleans up our database so that when somebody comes in to vote and they provide an email address, that goes into the records that they get back to us so that they actually update our database as they go along.
Yeah, and that would be so much helpful to us for not necessarily the elections, but the elections plus a whole bunch of other things.
Yes.
Yeah, and John, now that people are paying their fees and dues using North Star, does that capture email addresses as well?
I'm going to say yes.
Okay, good. And that's another thing. I don't know if North Star would update our database like the election software will, but I think that's something for us to look into to make sure that those do get captured.
Okay.
Okay. So,
On the topic, as I understand it, correct me if I'm wrong, that we will still be mailing out a ballot to every, paper ballot to every homeowner. Is that correct?
yes, this year.
Okay, so,
Yeah.
That's
okay, so
what the
So I would
suggestion
assume
for this year is
the
to.
ballots will be mailed out as normal and the homeowner will have the option to, and directions in the ballot package to either go online or mark the ballot and return it in the mail.
That's correct.
That's correct.
So what we end up with is a, for lack of a better word, a hybrid result.
Right.
We have an electronic result and we have a paper result. You're shaking your head no?
No, when we get the ballots, we will provide, when they scan it, give us those numbers, that will be given to the contractor
Okay,
to
okay.
put it.
But that's fine.
We
That's
get
the
one
process.
result.
But the fact of the matter is that we will have a hybrid in the sense that we have paper ballots, which we have a record of,
Correct.
and we have an electronic vote, which we essentially have no record of. So let's say there is a one vote difference, and I'm just hypothetically spitballing here because this is an important move. There's a one vote difference in the election for a director, and the director wants to recount. The practical matter, you can't recount the electronic part. So, and I've made the example, let's say we get 4,000 returns, 3,000 of them are electronic and 1,000 are paper. Somebody challenges the vote, the one vote difference, let's say. We can go back and recount the paper ballots. So those 1,000 paper ballots will determine the results of the election, not, and because the 3,000 can't be recounted.
Carol,
Yes.
we do have a
They-
record of the
they
electronic
promise.
vote.
Yeah, they give us back, we don't get to know how they voted. We get to know who, that they voted, whether they voted or not.
Because they will be assigned a number also.
Right.
They'll
That
be
comes-
assigned a number, Jim.
That's part of the contract with them, that we have to live with those results. And we're going to give them the scanning results to add into that
I
database that they give us.
understand all that, and I don't.
Right, but then I don't understand what
Too
your question
argumentative
is
about
now.
it. However, we will not have any paper ballots from voters. We will have no paper ballots from voters, other than the ones that send back the paper.
Mhm.
So if there's a question as to the results, you can't have how do you have a recount on an electronic vote? I don't think you can do it.
My understanding is that
And
the,
recount and verify paper ballots. That's why the
Yeah, we
state of
get-
Maryland has paper and electronic.
right.
But at any rate.
And so my understanding, Carol, was that the electronic voting company or software would be able to give us a record, not by name, but by vote of
Correct.
what those votes were. So we'll have one record
they
that
process
says this
that.
person voted.
That's not subject to a recount.
That is subject to a recount. You can recount
Okay.
those. That's my
It's
understanding.
not subject to a one-by-one recount, but if we went back into all the data, they'd be able to show us that there's a vote here, vote here, vote here, vote here, vote here, but it's all electronic, Joe.
And the other side of that is that the paper ballots will have some type of identification number on them, probably the random number assigned by the contractor, so that we can actually give that list of numbers to the contractor, saying that these people voted by ballot, so that they cannot use the online. You can't vote
Both
both ways.
ways.
That was my question to you before. So we're definitely protected from someone having a duplicate vote. Nobody will be able to vote twice using this system.
Right, and we will follow through with what we did before. If people scratch off their number, their lot and section number, we can't count that because we can't verify that it's not a duplicate. You know, the way it is now, somebody calls in, picks up a duplicate ballot. We have to go through all of the ballots that came back and make sure that that section and number wasn't already used.
Frank?
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 It's a fair question. Why don't we just ask the electronic voting company, how do you handle recount? I mean, I know this is a deadly assumption to make, but I gotta I would sure like to believe that Ocean Pines isn't the only person using electronic voting in the United States of America that'll have a recount. I mean, yeah, somebody has, how do you do a recount? And have them.
If you look it up online, you'll find that there are some drawbacks that HOAs have run
Yeah.
into.
I just ask them, Joe, how do you conduct a recount? And we'll see if it's adequate.
Okay, so we'll take that under advisement for
Let's
the
say,
next.
you mail a ballot to everybody. And somebody, it's gonna happen. Somebody's gonna do both. They're gonna send the ballot back and they're gonna vote electronically. What do we do then?
It's gonna get caught.
What do we do?
They'll get kicked
It's gonna
out.
get caught. We don't count the duplicate.
What's the vote for different people on each one?
I think that going ahead, it does make a rule.
The first one, but
These people pull all kinds of stuff.
I think, you know, you make a
Stay in
rule in
ballot.
advance. If you vote electronically and you
Yeah.
vote paper, one's
Yeah.
gonna count and one isn't.
And the person says, I never voted
And
electronically.
just a point of order.
That's a little different because
You suspended Robert
Yes.
Charles to talk to a committee person and the
Yes.
board about
Yes.
what was going on.
Yes.
I'm sorry, Joe, but you haven't been
She
involved
did not
in it.
mention a committee person when she suspended the rules.
Yes, we did.
Thank you
She
for
said
bringing
to
it
you.
up.
Yeah.
She said to
Jesus.
Joshua, I'm just saying so that we can bring it back around to the point you've already been educated on.
That's up to the
Yes.
chairperson. She can do whatever she
So
wants.
you're on board.
Thank you.
So do you feel like we're sufficiently educated, Carol?
I do.
Okay. Does the
How do you
board
feel?
believe they're sufficiently educated? Okay,
Good.
so there are a couple of points that will be cleared up for the,
Reinstate Robert.
okay, and Carol, one more question for you. By when do we need to, does the board need to approve these changes?
Okay, the next week. So
Okay,
that we can, the thing too about the electronic voting is it gives our voters a longer period of time, like we can start the voting the day we put stuff in the mail. People can start to go online and create their account. So it gives everybody more time and they need, I'd say 2 weeks before, so pretty
okay,
soon.
and so we have a question about recount. We're
Mhm.
gonna go to the vendor
I will
About-
find out about it.
and any other questions we need to get cleared up within this week.
And the
Yep.
double ballot's it's a valid question because you're right. Somebody will,
Oh, yeah.
for whatever reason. Okay.
Doug,
Yeah, and my next two questions don't have anything to do with the timing here, because we can address this later, but attachment A, section 4D, they're talking about copies retained by the committee for 1 year. I wonder if we should designate a location of where that information will be kept. Again, it doesn't need to be decided right now, but if we can go to another revision, later on down the road, if we look at it, I
Yeah.
think we should probably designate that, and it also ties into
where
section
is that, Doug?
attachment A, section 4D.
Yeah.
All right. So on my note here was just, should we designate where this information will be stored? It's a question, right? To be very specific about things. Because, reduction of sodium, we sent it away to a vault in Iron Mountain, Pennsylvania. We can't get it out for 30 months. Okay.
Years.
All right. So I mean, so clearly, that is reduction of sodium. So clearly you want to make sure that you want to do that. And then the same question in section 9F. All right. This is maybe a little bit more of a concern because it's talking about the ballot should be bundled in a secure container. And the question is where? All right. Because this is after the ballots have been secured and it maybe has to do, it ties into a recount. So that's a little more, I would think, important to get, some clarification as to where and who. In other words, it got stored outside in the trash can, it had a lid on it with a closed lock. Okay, well, that's probably not secure. So I would want to make sure.
Yes.
All right.
Yes.
And just,
We have a file cabinet here.
Yes.
That only elections committee has.
Okay,
And
so-
it has all the past year's referendums, ballots, envelopes and everything.
right. And
The other way we would do it is to put the information on a flash drive that they put that in the.
well, I always,
So could you
password.
revise this language within this week
Did
to
that-
specify those locations for storage? And then we can take care of it all at once.
Right.
Doug?
the case in point is sustainability. In other words, we have to put something in there that new boards, other people that may not be as familiar with how things are done, it makes it easy for them, as you transition from board to board to board. Sustainability is an important issue to me. So the idea is that we can clarify these things while they're front of top of mind. Let's do it. It doesn't really, it's not a lot of administrative overhead and there'll be benefit down the road.
Yeah, the only problem I have with getting that specific, Doug, is that this situation we had with a foreign election, is that because of the lawsuit against OPA, we did not store those ballots that had been sent out and received here in our store, in our safe or container. They were stored by the contractor. So if we were to run into a situation like that again, based on what we have here, we have to store them here. And I don't think council would want that to happen. So I think the language we have in here that it has to be secured, bundled and secured, I think that's sufficient. I mean, if we get specific that it has to be, in the back room, in the safe, I think, if we run into a situation again, then we got a problem there.
Well,
Yes, Doug.
so point taken, but I just think that you're dealing with extenuating circumstances there. I think for general year to year, I think it's more important to have that specific thing, because I wouldn't want to be ever questioned as to, for example, recount comes up, well, where was it stored? I don't ever want to have to answer that question.
Well,
So,
It's stored where we said it was supposed to be stored. And if
so
we have to take it out of there based on, lawsuit, judge, discovery, or whatever.
question was,
that could be addressed by putting a statement here. Other factors notwithstanding, they will be stored,
Mhm.
blah, blah.
Yeah, I think
Okay,
that's a good.
and then when those factors come up, those will be the case by case situation that current board would be aware of.
that's fine.
Okay,
But without that,
Yeah, no,
that specific, I think is a problem.
good point. Okay, next we have,
You want to go back to Robert's rules? I'm not done.
yes, back to Robert's rules.
Okay, you raised a question as to when. I just wanted to update the board that previously the board received the request had been sent out to 4 contractors for this, and the board had received that information 2 months ago. One of those proposals included the ability to do phone voting, and the committee is not recommending that. That is not part of this change. We need to get this done, a second reading done fairly quickly, so that the contractor, we can get a contract drawn by the contractor and submitted for approval. I had asked Carol to talk to the contractor to start working on a contract that we believe will be handling this. And we should be able to bring that forward as part of the second reading, and then a motion I'm assuming we'll do a special meeting to get this wrapped up so that the election committee can hit the ground running. You agree?
Yes. Did we suspend?
No, I'm just-
Oh, okay.
Just a yes or no?
So,
No.
so
No,
I'm going to
that's fair.
propose that we be prepared to have a special meeting I guess what day's today? Wednesday. The earliest it could be is Monday or Tuesday. And so we'll just try to be prepared for that, for things to be ready for that meeting. Okay, and after this meeting, we'll set the special meeting. We're not going to do that right now. Okay, anything else on this? Okay, and next is drone video of Ocean Pines. This is a topic for discussion to authorize the Communications Advisory Committee to investigate costs and benefits associated with the development of a drone video of the OP community. Concise statement to determine costs and benefits of hiring a videographer to create a video of the entire OP community, highlighting all of the amenities. The purpose would be to have such a video available to be used for promotional purposes and to include in the collection of documents being digitized for historical preservation purposes. Background, the Communications Advisory Committee is working with staff from the Marketing and PR Department to digitize and otherwise preserve documents and artifacts that capture the history of OPA. The committee proposes that the board consider the costs and benefits of hiring a videographer to create this video. If there is interest among the board to pursue this, the committee will gather the information needed for this cost benefit analysis. So the question is whether the board has the interest to pursue this. Amy.
My only comment is a timing issue. I think we should wait until the Racket Center is complete and maybe take a survey among the different amenities. So if we do this, it's a one and done. Because I know the racket center might be interested in some new aerial pictures when the pickleball courts are complete. And maybe some other facilities would like the footage too.
Have them take a look
Frank?
at it. Makes sense. Have them take a look at it and come back to us.
Doug?
Yeah, same thing. I mean, really the only issue would be cost, but I think it's a reasonable idea.
And then whenever the courts are done, you know, they
Yeah.
can do it.
I agree.
Yeah. Although there is a 3-year plan for the racket center. So we might find ourselves doing this again in a year or two.
Right.
So I guess look at the costs at this point and then we can decide if we want to do it now, realizing we may do it again in a year. Okay. All right. Next we have a motion to adjourn to closed session. At a meeting of the Board of Directors of Ocean Pines Association, Inc., held on its 22nd day of June, 2022, at 11 a.m. in the boardroom, the board voted to adjourn to closed session for the purpose of discussing matters pertaining to employees and personnel, specifically pertaining to the GM position as permitted by the Maryland Homeowners Association Act, Section 11B 111I. Do I have a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, it carries. And then a second motion to go into closed session. This one is for the purpose of consulting with OPA counsel, specifically pertaining to the Janus the OPA matter as permitted by the Maryland Homeowners Association Act, Section 11B 111(3). Do I have a second?
Second.
And is there any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? It carries. Okay, next we have one appointment for the Racket Center. This is Ron Kurtz, endorsed by the chairperson with the comment, great addition to the group. Glad to have Ron
On the team.
on the team. Thank you, Doug. Ron has a background in finance, is an avid racket sports user. He certainly has some qualifications that are desirable. Do I have a second to this
Second.
proposal? All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, approved. And next regular meeting will be July 27th at 11 a.m. Location will be the boardroom again,
You say 22nd,
27th,
7th.
before my birthday. Always happens right around my birthday. Okay. And so now I have a motion to adjourn to closed session.
Some of.
Second,
Second.
all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, so we can take a bio break. I'm gonna text.